All right. So again, welcome to your first session of this series. You guys did receive an email from me with your handouts for this week's class. So we're going to be looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We have the 8 dimensions of wellness, and I also sent you guys the SNAP assessment. Okay. So if you did not get that email, just shoot me a message and let me know. I'll make sure you do get it. So we're going to begin. This is week 1. We're going over ongoing assessment of needs. So every week when we start class, we are going to start class by reinforcing the Ohio Administrative Code. Now, the purpose in us doing this is because the Ohio Administrative Code, it governs what makes up therapeutic behavioral services, okay? So according to the OAC, when it comes to ongoing assessment of needs, that is referring to treatment planning, participating in and utilizing strength-based treatments, and planning which may include assisting the individual and family members or other collaterals with identifying strengths and needs. That was a lot, so let's break that down, okay? So what that actually means is ongoing assessment of needs within TBS or case management services is a continuous process of evaluating a client's overall needs. So not only is it the starting point for client growth and for self-exploration, but it is also used to check in on your client's progress to ensure the treatment plan remains effective and relevant. So that's going to involve regularly reviewing your client's situation, adjusting the plan as needed, and ensuring that your client's needs are being met. So this whole process is going to, again, ensure that the client receives the most appropriate and effective support throughout their treatment here with us. So you're also going to want to ensure you're linking their needs back to their mental health diagnosis. That's very important. So this is going to reinforce medical necessity of the services provided, which is going to justify whatever interventions or activities you are providing during your sessions. So that's defining what ongoing assessment of needs is. So now let's look at why we provide this service, okay? So this is going to provide a foundation to teach skills. So basically we're saying this is going to help you to identify and then to utilize resources effectively. So that's going to lead to better outcomes for the client, as the plan is continuously adapted to their specific needs. We have to make sure it's tailored for them. It's difficult for you guys to create a customized treatment plan, including client-centered skills to be worked on if an assessment of needs hasn't been completed first. So that's why it's important for us to do this. So this intervention, it also helps to identify the current gaps in mental health services where the client may require additional support, okay? Ongoing assessment of needs provides opportunities to establish and strengthen the therapeutic relationship. So you're able to build rapport and even to demonstrate empathy. So it allows you as the clinician to gain a deeper understanding of the client's experiences, of their thoughts, of their feelings. And that's going to allow you to kind of like join in with the client within their treatment. So through active listening and validation, you can convey empathy, making sure that your clients feel heard, make sure that they feel understood and accepted, which is crucial for building trust. So this is important because your clients are more likely to stay engaged in the therapeutic process to achieve positive outcomes when they feel like they're being understood or when they feel like they're being supported. So can you guys think of any reasons that we may have missed? Or maybe just tell me what your understanding is of why we provide this intervention of ongoing assessment of needs.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that the reason that we have it is because in order for us to try to meet a goal or to try to accomplish a goal, we have to first understand what their needs are. Um, and in order for us to do that, obviously, like you said, we need to build that relationship. We need to know what they're struggling with. And then some people are not even educated on mental health. Like I'm in a long term care facility, and if you even mention the word mental health, they just close up immediately. So you have to find strategic ways around it and still try to adjust and still try to address their diagnosis.
I love it. Thank you. Good job, India. Anyone else want to share their opinion of why we provide this intervention? Just at least
Um,
one person. Oh,
sorry.
okay, Erica, go ahead.
I just want to say that like the needs can change as like time goes on, so it's like important to continue to like check in with people to see what's changing and what's going on in their lives.
That's an excellent point. It's very important that people are able to see that this isn't something that just happens at the intake process, right? This is something that we have to continuously do because, like you just said, Erica, their needs can change. Anything can change in their life. So we have to go back to that drawing board, see what is driving them to receive this treatment, and then adjust accordingly. So that's a great point. Good job, you guys. All
I also feel like in order for us to know like what coping skills are working best for our clients, we need to get that assessment too. Because if deep breathing is only causing more anxiety, then
right.
we probably should we've tried this for 3 weeks. Like example, I had a client, she missed her husband. She had no pictures. We put pictures up. We seen an increase in
Mhm.
her anxiety. So then we removed the pictures and she's kind of getting back down to baseline. So
Okay.
I think it's important for that too.
That's a great example. Thank you for sharing, Stormy. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning. Needs again should be assessed from the very beginning of treatment, even though you guys aren't involved in that early process. It's okay. You guys should still be reading their diagnostic assessment, read their psych eval, read everything that you can possibly get your hands on to make sure that you are equipping yourself with everything you need to jump into treatment with your client. So again, early in treatment, you're reading that assessment, you're reading the eval, you're making sure that you are aware of your client's diagnosis, be aware of their needs and their background information. So like it says here, you should continuously check in with the client and guardian and their treatment team to ensure the current client needs are still being addressed and treatment is focused within those areas. So when it comes to ongoing assessment, that is going to facilitate the adaptation of treatment to meet the client's evolving needs, right? As you just said, they're constantly changing. So it's going to ensure that the services remain relevant and effective. We can always go in and update the treatment plan when necessary or update the diagnostic assessment or eval. We can always do that based upon their client's needs. So, when it comes to the assessment, it is incredibly important to understand the issues that motivated your client to seek treatment because from their motivation, it's going to form the foundation of effective treatment. So, knowing what brought your client in to even receive TBS services, that's going to allow you to develop a personalized treatment plan that is going to address their specific challenges and their specific goals. So, understanding your client's motivation, that can be I'm trying to understand whether it's an internal motivation, meaning like their own specific desire for change, or if it's an external reason for them that's motivating them for services, like meaning the guardian requested that they were signed up or their family pressured them to sign up for services. Or for a lot of people, you guys are working in long-term care facilities, right? It could be the facility just signed them up for the services. Okay. So what is their actual motivation for receiving these services? So knowing what their motivation is, that can help you again to tailor your approach to increase their motivation and their engagement. And then next you see here, how the person presented their needs or didn't mention them at all during intake may have been influenced by their nerves and maybe their fear of the unknown regarding services. So a lot of times your clients, they don't feel comfortable sharing too much personal information about their mental health or about their life in general during their assessment or eval. They're meeting that person one time. They don't know them. That's a complete stranger to them. How would you feel comfortable sharing your very personal information? I wouldn't. It's going to take a couple of sessions to get me there, right? So your clients, they could be nervous. They may not even understand fully what the service is that we're providing or that they're receiving, or they may just be scared in general. Okay. So this is where you come in, you build rapport with them. So now that the client has established a solid working relationship with you, they may feel more comfortable to share symptoms and concerns with you that they didn't share with the person that completed their psych eval or their DA. Okay. So now we've looked at the assessment. Now we can actually get into the actual work. Okay. So hopefully this is just a refresher for you guys. This is just going to give you the flow of that golden thread. Okay. So your needs determine the goals. The goals then determine the objectives. The objectives determine the interventions. But what it all starts with is needs. Again, hopefully that was just a refresher and that's something everybody already knew. But just if you didn't, you can always utilize the SNAP assessment, again, which was emailed earlier, to assess your client's needs. You do not only have to use that SNAP assessment when you're doing your treatment plan or at the beginning of your sessions. You can utilize that anytime throughout treatments, okay? We should continuously be checking in to see if their needs have changed. Okay, so you want to be able to skillfully and tactfully gather information from your clients. So something that's helpful to understand with clients and how their symptoms affect them on a day-to-day basis is to just ask them to tell you about a typical day in their life, okay? You can have some clients who say, well, I don't really have a typical day. Well, this is where you can just say, well, just walk me through what happened yesterday, okay? If they were to say there is no typical day, have them walk you through yesterday, and as they're walking you through their day, you start to ask them clarifying questions. So you could ask them questions like, well, you said you ate lunch at this time. Well, where did you eat lunch at? Did you eat lunch in your room? Did you eat lunch at the dining hall? Did you go to a park to eat lunch? Once you move past lunch, ask them some questions. So why did you eat here? Is this typically where you eat? Or what prevented you from eating here? You have to ask those clarifying questions. Ask them what did they prefer about eating in one space versus a different one. And then just depending on how they answer, this can give you insight on how they experience their diagnosis and how they experience their symptoms, which can give you a way to start working on different goals. Maybe they experience anxiety if they're having lunch in the dining hall. So that's what's preventing them from eating in the dining hall and they're eating alone. Okay. So by asking those clarifying questions, you can kind of gauge what goals we can work on during your treatment. And then you want to avoid personal biases or opinions. So you want to avoid focusing on your own opinions and comparing your life to the client's life. So just for an example, in my home is full of decorations. Every single wall has a family picture or some sort of inspirational quote, or even just a decorative painting. I have a friend who's an artist and I pay her really good money, but she'll do special paintings for my home and the colors that I want, all of that stuff. It's very important to me, okay? It's a need for me to have my home decorated a specific way. Now, I cannot put my needs onto my clients, okay? You have some clients who they have bare walls. I can't say, oh, you need to decorate because that's my need. That's my preference. That's my opinion, okay? So we have to keep that to ourselves and just kind of let our people be, okay? All right. Now we're going to move into our first activity. We're going to go over 2 activities today. This first one, this is your intro into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the hierarchy of needs, this is coming from this particular psychologist, and it is a charted set of human requirements that are important for an individual to achieve complete development and self-actualization. Okay, that's the whole goal. So Maslow's model that enables us to think more creatively and even more strategically about our clients. And it's going to make clear a client's development plans, their practices, their goals, and their experiences. So it's going to give you, as the TBS specialist, the knowledge needed to identify your client's interests, their skill sets, their strengths, or even their values. So with this hierarchy of needs, it's relevant to providing TBS services because both are concerned with human motivation, okay? So here are the 5 levels in Maslow's hierarchy. Again, this basically provides the framework or a new way to conceptualize a client in a holistic way, to consider how all aspects of their life affect one another. This can also give you an idea of what to address in treatment, because if a client has an unmet need, that can impact their mental health, okay? So understanding what people need and how your clients differ from person to person or from client to client, it's an important part of the therapeutic relationship. So we're going to break down all the 5 levels as we go through each slide. But when it comes to this pyramid, it starts at the bottom and it starts with the physiological needs, okay? So starting at the bottom, physiological needs are the lowest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So these, even though it's at the very bottom of the pyramid, these are the most important needs that have to be addressed. So these needs are going to include the need for shelter, for water, for warmth, for food, for health, and even for something like rest, okay? A person's motivation at this level comes from their instinct to survive. So this need, it must be met before a person can focus on any type of higher level need. So that's the very bottom, but it's the most important, okay? The next level up from the physiological needs are safety and security needs. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's going to position safety and security needs as a fundamental requirement for individuals. So this comes only second to those physiological needs. Excuse me. So these needs are going to encompass not only personal security, but also financial security, and even health and well-being. So when these safety needs and safety and security needs are met, or excuse me, are unmet, then your individuals, they can experience heightened levels of anxiety, of fear, and even a sense of vulnerability, which can manifest as anxiety disorders, phobias, depression, or even PTSD. Then you have the social need, okay? So once your basic needs like food and shelter are met and safety and security are in place, humans are now free to work on your relationship with others, okay? So this stage here, it's going to involve forming and maintaining relationships, both platonic and even romantic relationships. And even it's going to force you to want to feel accepted and valued within your particular social groups. So meeting these needs is going to be crucial for overall well-being, and it can impact factors like physical health and mental health. Excuse me, mental health. What? I don't even know what word I said. Mental health, okay?
Long day, long day.
It's been a long day and I've been talking since 8:15. I'm tired. All right. Next up, second to last are your esteem needs, okay? So Maslow, he observed that in this level that we have food to eat, we typically feel safe, and we have people in our lives to provide us with support, okay? So now we're working on ourselves. So in this level, we're building self-confidence, we're pursuing education, we're working on different career goals, looking at our personal and professional achievements, okay? Esteem needs, these are met by, by both feeling proud of yourselves and by receiving that outside validation from others. So these needs are typically met by like your friends, your families, or even like your romantic partners. And then lastly, at the very top of the pyramid, the highest level in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. So this is a state where individuals are driven by a desire to become the best version of themselves. So when it comes to self-actualization, that is about personal growth, about self-awareness, and the pursuit of authenticity. So it's going to involve fulfillment of one's potential, whether it's through creative expression, personal relationships, or other meaningful pursuits. So a self-actualized person, they have accomplished the highest level of functioning possible for them. That's why it goes person by person, because you can have some people who peak at like getting or learning how to read, okay, or graduating high school, or where for others, their peak may be going to grad school or starting a family. So it just depends on what your person is doing and going through in life and what their own personal goals are. Okay, so it's not going to be the same for each of your individuals. So, very, very quick discussion. You can answer, not everybody, just maybe like two people. Tell me either how you would relate Maslow's hierarchy of needs to your life or your client's life, or which level of the hierarchy do you feel is most important? And there's no wrong or right answer. This is just all your opinion, okay? So anybody want to share, answer one of the two questions? So I need to pull up the little participation.
So what was the one that was talking about like our mental health, our well-being? It's not self-actualization, and it's not
I think that was esteem.
Was it esteem? No. Give me another one from it. What is the one above? Not social. What's the one before social?
You got your sociological needs, your safety.
Okay, so no then. Okay, so I think that social, let me say, I think social is important because I think that all humans just want to be connected and they just want to be accepted for who they are.
Mhm.
And I think that for anybody, whether it's me or my client, and it's just an opinion, I think once you can feel a part of something instead of apart from, I think that the more peace and surrender you have within yourself in the world around you. So for me, I would say social.
That's the most important for you. Thank you, India. Thank you for sharing. I like that view. Anybody else want to share on which level they feel is the most important for them?
It's gonna really depend on the person, honestly.
I would agree with that. I mean, too, which like she had stated that in the beginning. And all of us like kind of are literally doing the entire hierarchy every single day we wake up, right? I learned a long time ago that when you start falling like bricks down the triangle, it means you've got to stop where you no longer feel, you know what I mean? Like the esteem. So if you're struggling with esteem, that means you're not going to be able to move up to the next level, right? So now you've already got at least a clear, concise plan of what you need to work on. Does that make sense?
Yes, you need to build that self-confidence before you can move on to self-actualization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're not reaching that full potential, then what is it in the triangle that you need to revisit in order to reach that full potential?
Exactly. What's that missing piece, right? So that would be the need that you need to work on, right? Yes. Valerie, did you have something else to say, or were you?
I was my train of thought kind of got derailed. I got interrupted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You can always jump in whenever. Okay. All right. So I do want to show you guys before we move on to the 8 dimensions of wellness. So one of the handouts that was sent to you guys is this handout where, again, it shows Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it also has this worksheet, okay? So this worksheet is what you can utilize in session with your clients to show that justification, that evidence that you actually completed Maslow's hierarchy of needs as your activity, okay? So you see here, it has the needs listed along the left-hand side. And then in the middle, you're going to help your client to fill in the ways that they're currently meeting these needs. And then the last column, we're looking at new practices that we can implement and put in place for your client to either further meet these needs or to meet them if they're not currently meeting them. Okay, so this is a worksheet that, again, was sent to you guys, and you can utilize this as part of your sessions with your individuals this week. Okay. All right. To close that back up. All right. So let's move into the 8 dimensions of wellness. So due to time constraints, I'm not going to give a full breakdown as to each of the 8 dimensions. I'm going to quickly kind of like sum them up. But I do encourage you to look at the workbook that I sent you before class. It's going to give you the full definition for each one, and it's going to give you a worksheet that you can utilize with your clients in sessions, okay? So looking at the 8 dimensions of wellness, this comes directly from SAMHSA, okay? So each dimension is going to contribute to our own sense of wellness and our quality of life. And each one of these dimensions affects and overlaps with another. So at times, some dimensions may be more prominent than others. But if you were to neglect any one of these dimensions for any length of time, it can have adverse effects on overall wellness and mental health. So let's jump in and quickly look at the 8. So, and I'm looking at time. Okay. So the first one is the emotional wellness dimension. So this one involves the ability to express feelings, to adjust to emotional challenges, cope with life stressors, and even enjoy life. So with this dimension, it includes knowing our strengths as well as what we want to get better at and what we want to work on our own, but maybe even to allow others to help us from time to time. Then next, moving on, we're looking at the physical dimension, healthy body, healthy eating habits, nutrition, exercise, appropriate health care. All of that make up the physical dimension of wellness. So a few ways that a person can get there might be choosing things that make their body feel good, maybe trimming back on the things that are maybe weighing or bringing us down. We can also feel better by creating a routine that is going to balance activity with inactivity, so that it's manageable within our obligations. Like we have work obligations, we have home life obligations, we have so many things going on. So we want to find some type of balance there. Next, we have occupational. So the occupational wellness dimension, that involves participating in activities that provide meaning and purpose and reflect a person's personal values, their interests, and their beliefs, including employment. So with occupational wellness, that's going to focus on finding fulfillment and meaning in your work or your career or whatever personal activities you have going on. Next, we have intellectual wellness dimension. So that's going to involve many things that keep your brains active and your intellect expanding. Okay, so in a broad sense, This dimension can involve looking at different perspectives of an issue and taking them into consideration. Then we have financial. So there are many definitions of what constitutes as being financially well. But overall, when it comes to financial wellness, that can include things like income, a person's debt, or understanding what debt even is, savings, or just understanding financial processes overall or resources as a whole. A person's personal satisfaction with their current financial status or financial situation is also going to come into play within that dimension. Then you have social dimension. So that involves healthy relationships with your friends, your family, the community that you live in, and having an interest or concern for the needs of others and just humankind in general. And then the last two would be environmental wellness dimension. So that involves both the need to be safe and to feel safe. Okay, so that includes things like accessing clean air and food, preserving the area we live in, things like that. And then lastly, we have the spiritual wellness dimension. So this is a broad concept that is going to represent one's personal beliefs and their values. And it involves having some sort of meaning or feeling you have some sort of purpose in life, and where you're able to balance and have peace at the same time. So that again is the 8 dimensions of wellness. But again, I do encourage you to utilize and look at the training that was sent out earlier. You guys can't even see what I'm looking at, can you? No, you can. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we were still on the slide.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't where I needed you to be. Okay, so now you can see the actual workbook, okay? So this is the full workbook from SAMHSA on the 8 dimensions of wellness. So you just want to make sure you go through, educate your clients on what the different dimensions are. This is going to give you a full breakdown of each dimension. And then, where's the first one? Physical, is that the first one? Physical wellness, yes. So it's going to give the full breakdown. It's going to break it down into each area that falls under that category. It's going to give you things to think about, and it's also going to provide some resources for each one. And then after each dimension, it's going to give you a worksheet. So these worksheets, again, you can utilize and practice with your clients in your sessions. Okay, so this will be how you were to accomplish that activity within session with your client. Okay. Oh, so when I went over Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you guys didn't even see that, did you? Because I didn't move it over. Man, I am slacking today. Okay, I'll get it together. I'll be less pressed for time next week, so it'll be a whole
You've
lot.
had a super busy day too. Be kind to yourself.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you. You guys are already the best. All right. Okay. Let me jump back in. We don't have time for discussion. We're going to move into how to document, okay? So we're going to look at how we document assessment of needs in a progress note, okay? So you all met the requirements to sign up for class, which means you guys have all been employed for at least 90 days here at BioQuest. So hopefully you should already be aware that when it comes to doing your documentation, you have to select at least one intervention and one activity, okay? Now, when you submit your progress note for homework, it is a must that for this week, you select ongoing assessment of needs for your intervention. Now, when it comes to your activities, if you are utilizing the 8 dimensions of wellness, you would select assessing wellness as the activity. If you're using Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're going to be selecting assessing needs because that has all 5, okay? So those would be your options for what activities you're selecting, just based upon whatever you're going to do with your client. Okay. All right. So now let's move into the client's response. Now, before I move on to the next slide where I'm going to actually read this client's response, you guys tell me, what are some of the things we're looking for in a client response? What should you guys include? I'll start you off. What about your client's name?
How they presented for the day.
How they presented. I just smacked myself in the face. Okay.
Their diagnosis.
Diagnosis. Yes. Thank you, Marlena. What else?
Symptoms.
Symptoms. Yes. If you're ever mentioning skills, please don't just say we worked on coping skills. Be very specific and name the actual coping skill that you worked on. If it's a worksheet, put the name of the worksheet in there. Okay, we need to see those specifics. All right. Anything else that we missed that you need to? What about quotes?
That's what I was getting ready to say. There it is. Quotes.
Okay. Yes. Put some client quotes in there. Okay. We want to see things like that. We want to see how the client felt about the intervention that you worked on. Okay. So let's jump in and read this response. So this example states, Sally described the physical, and I can't even see my own screen. Okay, so Sally described the physical sensation of brushing her teeth as pleasing to her. I feel clean and fresh after I brush my teeth. I like that, and it feels good. I feel proud to take care of my body when I have the energy. Sally reported she did not like the taste of her toothpaste, however, stating it's too strong. Sally identified that she is more likely to leave her room, socialize with others, and in general, feel less depressed when she is clean and has taken care of herself. Sally
Leticia,
agreed.
can you share your screen? I'm sorry.
I'm not sharing again.
No.
Oh my gosh, thank you. What is happening?
I can see it.
I was going to say, I seen it too.
Yeah, I was reading along with you.
Maybe it's just me. I'm sorry. I can't see it. Just kidding.
You guys good now? Kim, are you good?
I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sally agreed to focus on the positive sensations associated with brushing her teeth when she has low energy and initially refuses to engage in her hygiene routine when prompted by staff. So what's in yellow is important for you guys to have in your progress notes. That goes over the things that we just stated. It goes over her mental health symptoms. It has some quotes. It has her stating some things or reporting some things. It has how she's feeling about the interventions that were worked on. It shows that a barrier to her brushing her teeth was that she didn't like the taste of her toothpaste. Another barrier to Sally being social was she didn't have the energy to take care of her hygiene due to her depression. We're talking about her depression. We're talking about her diagnosis, right? So these are the things we want to make sure we have in our progress notes. Now, what is missing from this progress notes is that this particular client response, there's no mention of the activity that we went over in class. There's no mention of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and there's no mention of the 8 dimensions of wellness. So when you submit your homework, you want to make sure that you are including how you incorporated either one of those activities. Now, you're not required to do both of them, but you are required to do at least one of those activities, okay? So let's quickly look at the homework or plan section. You guys should be assigning homework every time you meet with your individuals, okay? So when it comes to your homework that you're assigning, an effective homework is going to outline what the client is going to do outside of their sessions to continue to work on their goals and objectives. And it's going to show how and when your client is supposed to practice these specific skills that were taught to them during session, okay? So for our example, we have here, Sally will find and purchase the brand or flavor of toothpaste that is more appealing to her. Sally agreed to set an alarm on her phone to remind her to brush her teeth at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And Sally agreed to brush her teeth at least once daily to decrease symptoms of depression and encourage socialization. So this is a great example of the plan because it outlines exactly what Sally is going to do outside of her session to make sure she's working on those goals, make sure she's working on her objectives. And it shows how she's going to continue practicing what she learned during her session, okay? So before we finish up, we just want to make sure that we're always linking your client's needs back to their mental health symptoms. So your progress note, the whole point of it is that it should outline why the client is receiving TBS services. So you should make sure you're including what mental health symptoms you guys are helping to support the client to decrease or to manage or cope or even overcome. Your progress notes should document in what ways the client's diagnosis or related signs and symptoms cause impairment in their various life domains. And you want to be specific as to what those barriers are. So typically we would go over discharge, but honestly, I'm going to skip that because we have 10 weeks to go over discharge. Please read these slides when I send you the PDF later today, though. Before we end, and I do want to have at least a minute or so to show you what your homework is going to look like. Does anyone have any idea of how they're going to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs or the 8 dimensions of wellness that we learned today with your client this week for their mental health needs?
Okay, so I have already created a form. I've been here for some time, for a little while, and I went in and I created a form. So one, sometimes our clients are really apprehensive to talk to us. So in this form, I have created like 8 questions. And the first 3 questions I'm asking them, hey, how are you today? We, engage, and then it's, if you could describe how you're feeling using 3 words today, what would you use? And so then right then and there, they're already telling me the 3 issues, or how they're feeling in that moment. And then, like the questions like lead into, what is it that you're struggling with most this week? What is it that we can help you as a TBS worker the most? What do you feel? The next question is, I'd have to pull the form out, but so basically like within all of that, I'm able to determine like what it is that they're needing the most help with, where we have to work on. And then at the end of it, it's like, what coping skills are you using when you're feeling this way? You know what I mean? Things like that. So I've kind of created a form just to like follow. So I think I really do that in all my sessions.
In all your sessions, okay.
And then I also make sure I ask them what made them happiest this week. So then we can try to focus on what that positive is.
Good. I like that. So how are you going to take that, what you're already doing, and how are you going to now incorporate, like, how does Maslow's hierarchy of needs fit into that? Or how does the 8 dimensions of wellness fit into that? How can you incorporate that? Would you utilize a worksheet? Would you just educate them on what those different dimensions are? How are you specifically going to incorporate that and show that you have worked on it? Okay.
So that may be a little bit tricky because I've never done it that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to learn it.
Yeah. So if you guys, because again, today, week 1 is just bam, 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 so much information, right? So if you're struggling throughout the week to come up with ways to incorporate this into your sessions with your clients, you can reach out to me. I can help brainstorm with you one-on-one some ways for you to like really fit it in there. Okay, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Last thing I did want to show you guys before we wrap up for today is I want to show you, close that, go away. I want to show you what your homework is going to look like, okay? So this is going to be your quiz that I'm going to send you. You're going to have your questions. You have 5 questions at the beginning. And then when we get to question 6, this is where you're going to submit your progress note, okay? Again, you're going to have that progress note where you've selected ongoing assessment of needs, and either assessing, I can't remember what those two were, but assessing wellness and assessing needs, I believe, as your activities, okay? You come down here where it says upload file, that will allow you to upload your progress notes. If you do not know how to save your progress note, here are the instructions here. So once you finish signing your progress note, it turns into a PDF. You just click this little downward arrow to download it, and you can save it to your computer, okay? Then you just upload the file and you're all good. Woo, that was a lot. That was week 1. We made it through. Ha!
That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all don't give up on me. I'll slow it down come next week, okay? But in the meantime, I will send you your follow-up email with your link for your homework. And tomorrow, I'm going to be sending you the link for the actual video, okay? But I'll send you all those reminders in your follow-up email. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. It was great to see all your lovely faces today, and I look forward to seeing you and spending more time with you as we continue on. All right?
Nice meeting you guys.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
All
Good
right. See you
class.
next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Just for the record, you will almost always see me sitting in my vehicle because I have 2 small kids and a puppy, and this is the only quiet place that I have. I'm actually sitting in my driveway.
I get it.
I
and
normally come out
understand
here. I will literally sometimes sit in the back of my van for like 2 hours and do my notes because no one bothers me if I'm outside. But if I'm in the house, I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 5-month-old puppy. And it's mom, 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 mom.
No, please be in your car every week. If I see you somewhere else, I'm going to be concerned, Ashley. So I appreciate you sharing, though. Thank you.
Jessica gets tickled. She'll be like, you just got all your notes done on time. You're sitting in your van, aren't you? I'm like, I am. I'm sitting in my van with my coffee.
That's your happy place. It's your happy place. You can be productive there. I like it. I'll take it.
Well, it is. And I'm very ADHD. So not having that distraction or anything around me, it's just, I don't know. It works really well for me. Before I moved down to Scioto County, I would go to the boat dock where I lived before. And of course,